So in this video is a part of the recently released Days with My Stepsister Volume 13. This is an impression review video. Finally, the finale to the high school chapter is here, so the long-awaited new chapter is here as well. I've created some remarks for this video, so do watch it until the end. And with that, let's get it started.
As always, this time there will be some spoilers. If you have just started or still reading, read this at your own risk. This volume focuses on their road to university, so there's much less romance for the meantime. However, I don't want to talk about the ending abruptly, so I'll start by following the flow of the story as usual. First, let's start talking about the cover itself. This cover was on the chapter where it was the start of the new year. They are similar on volume 10, where they were in their summer vacation. But in volume 13, the direction they normally come heartwarming. Probably it's family bonding in the New Year season.
Straight from the prologue, the environment with when self-study session, as if it's the final high school exams to university is nearing, and also with their high school days is coming to an end. With the graduation ceremony is coming around the corner as well. Straight to chapter 1 is the typical family bonding between stepbrother and sister. But what's being attracted to me is someone who studied history since middle school is the Boston Tea Party. Although it's brief, it's a really nice yet great piece of info, perfect for students that wants to be a historian one day. Chapter 2 goes on to a surprising yet not so obvious. Akiko became the mother for the first time. In many drama and romance genres, the mother usually became the housewife while the sons or daughters goes to work or school. But in this series, the sons and daughters carries the roles of being the housewives while the mothers goes to work. And while Akiko's explanation of second shift wasn't detailed enough, I'm sure the only logical way to answer was this: spending time with Saki and Yuuta on the new year and graduation. And if that's not enough wholesome family bonding, you can see Saki has become one with Kotatsu, and Akiko called her to come over makes it even more lively. And apparently as well, Akiko and Taichi had to go back to visit Akiko's family in this chapter and the next. That said, if the side stories of Yomiuri wasn't enough, guess it's time to wishing for more, and that's on Akiko and Taichi's spin-off story. Chapter 3 continues the wholesome New Year run without Akiko and Taichi as mentioned before, still in their kotatsu. Of course, the being that is watching something that is not horror, which she dislikes with the thing being mentioned. Instead, the one they watch is a dog reincarnation story, which was this movie back in 2017, an unrated movie. For the second though, I thought they were watching this anime. I guess I was wrong back then, and if that's not enough, watch how they sleep together throughout the new year as they went into a field of dreams. Inside their dreams, they had 2 children and they drive through somewhere like the beach. This is like a reference nod to ReZero What If, where Subaru had children with Rem. Very creative and yet somehow fitting for a series that has romance in it. Chapter 4 goes into a tense but brief where Saki was nervous endlessly on the exams days today, along with Yuuta as well. Akiko then puts her chopsticks down and then becomes the mother by consoles them and to remain calm as they knew they had studied hard and well. This part had me heartwarmed because if Akiko hadn't in there, both Taichi and Yuuta wouldn't meet Saki as well, and Yuuta would not have a mother to begin with. It had me shed a little tear in me, and that was my first highlight in that. And with that little boost from Taichi as well, the tension was lifted and become colorful once more, which then also brings to chapter 5, the day they will graduate from Suisei High after the final exams. Chapter 6 then goes a little wholesome by reminiscing the past about how they met together. The reason why I said wholesome is because of how Yuuta meet Maru the first time had made Saki confused in circles. Saki wants to know which Yuuta and Maru usually talk about, which proceeds of being the usual conversation, and that is manga, something that girls aren't fond of, and that includes tournament battles like shonen, which is why Saki tilted her head. I mean, boys always into all these stories. There's no lies in there, me excluded of course, lol. The chapter then brings them to their final days in high school, which they had officially and finally graduated. Not illustrated, but as mentioned. It had me, as a reader, only can describe in 5 words: happy until I could cry. Chapter 7 was my second highlight of this volume, where the Hakama graduation outfit was unveiled. But before that, Yuuta was finally realized that Saki's hair grew back long again. If anyone has or hasn't been noticed, she cut that hair back in the anime on episode 12, now grown back in volume 13, which was a 2-year gap. In my opinion, long-haired girls goes better than short-haired girls. Don't ask why. As for Narasaka and Maru, well, the comparisons were just slightly different but both similar. Narasaka was like a host who keeps her guests lively, while Maru constantly talking to who he knows. Yet both have the same type of addiction, constantly switching seats while conversing with people. And while Maru was moity and all with calm words, his weakness was with girls. Maru was bawling his eyes out after the tournament, and that was when Narasaka took the chance to tease him hard. Don't piss off someone, lesson learned. Now, as being said earlier, this was my second highlight of this volume, where the Hakama graduation outfit was unveiled. I may have to say though, Saki looks very beautiful with that, which I fell in love with. Back in my graduation days, I didn't get the chance to feel what is graduation, but by reading this volume, it really hits hard, knowing that middle school days is really cool back then, me basically. Of course, since they were officially now graduated, which had made Akiko and Taichi look happy in tears, both bowed down in respect. It's a tradition actually in Japan in real life, where normally high school students, whenever they graduated, doing it as a sign of respect and blessings to their own parents. Chapter 8 then brings to the pivotal moment in this volume, the results to the acceptance to university. Well, what if one of your family members, now secretly couples, don't get accepted? What will you do? You hug him for comfort. But it's more than just that. The situation goes where Yuuta still awaits his acceptance results, while Saki already has it. Anxiety and fear struck upon Yuuta, and it was at that moment, at 2 a.m., Saki did the unthinkable, wraps her arms around Yuuta onto her body, presses against her chest. For once, at 2 a.m., Yuuta might think it's a dream. No, it's the same pattern once they did back in Atami. Coincidence, no? But of course, in the end, he got accepted into his university of choice as well, so that sudden hug at 2 a.m. was very inspiring. Thus, he chopped up the chapter of their high school days. At the end of this volume, we saw 3 POVs this time, replacing the usual Saki's diary in this epilogue, and that is Narasaka, Maru, and Saki's with their plans on a graduation trip after graduated. Both Narasaka and Maru were just reminiscing about the first time they met Saki and Yuuta up until their graduation trip, so it's not much important there. But what was the crucial part is Saki's POV in the graduation trip, where at the end, she basically saying she will unveil the relationship with Yuuta openly to Taichi and Akiko when the time comes. When I read that, it really sets a bombshell which could open a surprising twists and turns into the upcoming volume to come, and that will be worth the wait. So this time, I have reviewed volume 13 of Gimai Seikatsu. Overall, it's poised to be a critical installment in this volume, with them completing their lives at high school and family bonding. It has intensified these moments, perhaps culminating in a near confession or an accidental slip of affection in front of others. As the volume culminates, it has put the potential to either solidify their love or introduce heartbreaking obstacles, leaving readers eagerly awaiting the next development. What do you think of this volume so far? Comment your thoughts below. See you next video. Until then, goodbye.